Welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stand Course podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest, Tom Fenoglio, and he is the owner, along with his brother Joe, of Fenom Comics. So they have created titles like Hunter Ninja Bear, Star Riders, and original graphic novels such as Something Fierce and I-Core. And Tom's turning bold stories into a comic book universe. And let's just dive into some of this amazing work that you've done, Tom, in a minute after I ask you what your favorite food is.
I've been thinking about that. Chocolate's the easy one. I'm a chocoholic, but I would say for food, it would be blood sausage, also known as kishka.
Oh, Who Stole the Kishka? Have you ever heard that song?
No, I will look it up though, right afterwards.
You're gonna have to look it up. There's actually a song called Who Stole the Kishka.
There
Okay.
you go.
That is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I've never heard anyone say that, Tom. So thank you for
That's the
that.
honest to God truth. So there you
That's
go.
amazing. All right. So you've done so many amazing things with Phenom Comics. Just give us a little backstory about how you guys got started with this.
You go back 30 some years ago, 40 some years ago, and my brother and I were always telling stories. So we originally were focused on screenplays. So as with a lot of writers, it was really set for the big screen, the silver screen. But then it was just really hard to kind of punch our ideas into the big Hollywood machine. So we always thought that a good idea would be pull back and let's just really refine our stories, and then we can really present them the way we want them, protect our IP, really let the products mature, and then push them back out. So in the process, we came back and we've got 10, we think, great storylines, great universes. And we started doing it, but the storyboards, the screenplays sort of felt like they were dropping the ball. It was very hard for us to express these big epic ideas. So we kind of teamed up with some old DC Marvel artists and writers, and we said, help us. Because we
Mm.
think the comic medium is such just a dynamic. It's you can put anything on paper. There are no budgets. There are no limits to imagination. A comic realm is literally infinite.
Mm.
So it was perfect for our stories. So that's how we came into comics. So we're definitely Phenom Comics, and all of our books are graphic novels. They're in volumes. So we don't do monthly issues. We combined a series into one volume. And,
Yeah.
but they are all built for streaming or for the next stage of film.
Yeah. You know what I love? I love this idea that you were able to reimagine your original dream to write the screenplays and to get them produced. And so when you came up with Resistance, you quickly pivoted, and this has become like the main bread and butter of your business.
Yeah, and it was really, I would say, especially for writers out there that would understand this, it was really controlling our IP. It was very hard early on that we just didn't have. We were just young and dumb, and we just didn't have the financial ability to protect it. If someone were to steal it, we just had to let it go, and that actually did happen. So we were never angry, but we did learn from it. So that's where this comes in, where now we're actually protecting our IP. It's within our jurisdiction until we release it to the public. So it's been great. So it's definitely a reimagination. It's a retooling, but it's also been just a way for us to protect all of our hard work.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a
yeah.
really interesting lesson in there. I'm sure that you have to write the story behind the story too.
Joe's a mechanical engineer and I'm an electrical engineer. So we we really went back to work. So I think the good story there is dreams don't happen when you're 20 and they fade away when you're 50, 60, 70, is that the dreams were always there. We just couldn't get to it. We just had life. We had families, we had kids, we had bills to pay, but it was always there. And so
Yeah.
now we're circling back and we're just making sure that we hit all the bases before we cross home for the final time, I guess.
Well, okay, so tell me, when was like, how old were you then when you really started to pursue this?
We went out, I guess, in my mid 20s. So we went out there. So we spent some time in Studio City, and it was very informative. I don't want to make it sound more in depth than it was. We were like everybody else, beating the pavement. So it wasn't, I don't want to come across as any Hollywood insider. We were a nobody trying to become recognized. And we just realized it was just too hard for us at that moment. We just couldn't do it. We were just not in the right state with material the way that it was presented and just what we could add to the investment conversation. Now we can present a more unified front on a lot of items that these studios or these production houses are looking for. And that's where we think that we're probably most attractive, because there's a slightly little risk, because we're trying to bring more of us to the table versus people just having to take the gamble on their own.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so, but you have another life. This is part of your life, but you have another job, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess this is the Batman side of it. And I guess we don't have to go into the Bruce Wayne, but yeah, everybody's got a different life, but this is definitely not a hobby. This is our second job. We literally go 6 to 6 maybe during the days, and then at night we come home, eat, and then work some more. Our wives, our kids are very patient, but we have really dedicated a lot of time, a lot of sweat equity into this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Take us through a night. Like, what does that night look like when you're working on the comic books?
Well, on the story side, it's so funny to kind of go back to step one, but on the story side, it was always us throwing ideas and just started writing, just like a partnership would be, and just come with the different ideas. But with the comic book realm, the first thing that we really realized is that we did not know how to write for comic books, because you've got the different panels where a storyboard or a screenplay is easy. A girl walks into the room and is juggling.
Yeah.
Oh, easy. Everybody can imagine that. Well, with a comic, how do you do that? Is that one panel? Is that two panel? Is the ball here, the ball there? Is there a dog behind her? And it's very hard to do. So we brought in professionals like Chuck Dixon, Tony Bedard, and I think that's what our life really looked like, is that we came in with different artists. You've got Scott McDaniel, you've got Mel Ruby, you've got Ivan Nunes, and Lee Duhigg. You've got all these greats out there, Ace Continuato. We learn from them. So our nights are taking our stories and really having these different assets. You've got your writers, you got your pencilers, you've got your inkers, you've got your colorists, you've got your illustrators, you've got letters, you got all these different people, and you've got to get on board with your vision.
Wow.
And that is what we've been doing, is we've been taking this team and said, here's the story, but this is our vision. No, yes, yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. And that's been our last 2 years of really directing. So we've been directors the last couple of years.
And you love this.
It's hard, and I don't know if I love it. I think I love, and I can't speak for Joe, but I think I love telling stories to my sons at night when they were young, infinitely more. It's fun. That to me is a blast. This it's a labor of love, and it was something that's just, you hear people that they talk. It was just something that I had to do. It's gnawing. It's just something that we knew that we had to do, and this is something that Joe and I have always wanted to push out. So it's truly a labor of love, but it's a labor. It's truly a labor.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into this. The podcast is called Stay on Course, Ingredients for Success. So one of the questions I have is like, what have been your 3 ingredients for success in building this comic empire?
Well, thank you for saying empire. First is to call it an empire. No, I'd say partnerships. Is that Joe and I are very fortunate. So here you're working with your brother, and even in the midst, you've got our father that's always involved reading them. You got our mother, you've got our wives, we got our kids, and I think it's that support group, because it's more than a support group. It's employees, it's input, it's people that will be honest with you. So the first key is people that you can trust, and that you aren't just looking for a pat on the back. Because whether you have a product or not, you do need someone's honest opinion saying hey, that's awesome, that's not. So the first is a group of people that you can really rely on 110%.
Yeah.
Second is a well thought out product from start to finish, not just the end result is what contains it or what is in the making of it. If it's a product, the manufacturing, the cost, overseas, local to America, and how much would you charge? Are you going to make money? If you sold 1,000 of these, would you make money? Is it worth your time? And then 3, I would say how an ingredient is marketing and promotion. I
Mm,
think the service that you provide is with our first book, Hunter Ninja Bear, we were so happy to get it out. It was released to all the comic book stores. But then one of the distributors said, well, making it's the easy part. You're only halfway there. The hard part is really understanding how to market your story and how to promote it.
right.
And that is true. That is the third is probably the hardest to achieve.
Yeah. What is the main source of you getting this out there to the world?
Well, we are carried by Diamond Distributors. So they're the main distributors for the comic book stores. And we work with different outfits. And we're presently trying to get into larger distributors that handle Walmart and like Barnes and Noble. So that's what we're trying. But we do podcast, obviously. We do social media and really trade shows, all the Comic Cons.
Oh, you
And
do all the Comic Cons.
and yeah, and we've been to every one, and they've been
Wow.
it's a great customer base, and we really do move a lot of product. So I'm sure other people have different trade shows. We move a lot of product. We meet the customers, and we've never had one negative review. So the
Wow.
neat thing is you see who the return customers are, but you also you can't fake a review from a stranger. The stranger has no skin in the game. So
Yeah.
the thing is getting that immediate response. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And we've been very fortunate to really kind of be rolling a pretty good streak.
It's so interesting. Have you been to the Comic Con in West Palm Beach, Florida? Have you been to that one?
No, I should say we've been every one. We really focused primarily on the Midwest and the Northeast for Hunter Ninja Bear. And we've been to Anaheim, we've been to San Diego, the big ones. But really, with this run of Star Riders coming out, we're going to do the Southeast, Texas, and probably Colorado area, Denver. So, but we've been personally as fans, you name it, we've been to it. So we've been to Orlando, Miami, and whatnot.
Okay, there's a good one here that I went to last year. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's a very
No,
interesting group of people.
there. Florida's got great ones. Tampa's great. Yeah, there really are some great trade Comic Cons.
All
Yeah.
right, thank you for that. I love those ingredients. Now, what I want to know is what is your favorite story that you've done?
Probably the one that we're pushing out now, right? Star Riders. They're all a little different, but I would say Something Fierce. Something Fierce was our first story, and I guess that's dear to our heart. So it's a 400-page epic.
Wow.
It's really a book. It looks beautiful. That's the next book out. But Hunter Ninja Bear, our first was special, obviously, because it was our first. We learned a lot. And that's a great little story. It's mainly like rock, paper, scissors. Hunter beats bear, bear beats ninja, ninja beats a hunter. And it's this triangle of death that it's an origin story. So they come down to the last hunter, last ninja, last bear, and then our series continues. Star Riders is interesting because it revolves around the whole notion of the evolution of mankind. So the story is transhuman, and
Hmm.
it's the evolution of mankind through science and technology. And we got to explore where you get a lot of identity politics nowadays. Our notion was strip that all away. What is a person inside? Don't judge a book by its cover. So it's a sci-fi epic story. It's action adventure. It's everything a space opera should be. But in its core, it's really a story about what makes a human a human. So
Hmm.
we're pretty proud of that. Just it's a neat little story.
Well,
So
yeah, I think that's a question everybody's been going to be asking with AI, like what makes a human a human? What makes us different or better? And,
right,
I love that. That's a good
yeah,
one.
and it was kind of interesting because there's a lot of it deals with time travel. And Scott McDaniel, the artist, and he's an engineer too, and we've got books and books of just equations and this and that going through it. So it's a very well thought out book. But some of the things that we wrote 2 years ago, like astronauts being rescued in space, well, we wrote that. We actually had that 2 years ago. So it's kind of neat to see some of the things that we actually put in the book. People will say that we kind of modeled the book over what happened. The fact is that it occurred in the book and now it's occurring as it's being released. So maybe there's something to be said about time travel and and Star Riders.
Well, yeah, I've always wondered. I know I'm one of these crazy people that believe that maybe time travel can be true. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
funny.
I don't want to spoil it, but Star Riders explores it. And we actually had a gentleman from NASA review it, and his entire family's worked for NASA for the last, I'd say two or three generations. I forget. I think his grandfather, his father, and then him. And they said that it was technically spot on, that it was great the way that we worked out the math behind it. And so they gave us thumbs up. So we did do our due diligence, and we wanted to make sure that, especially with all the different stories, with Hunter Ninja Bear, there's just different Indian tribes within the Northwest. We reached out. We wanted to make sure that that was correct. The Japanese phrasing, we got some of our friends that are Japanese, and they read it, making sure everything. So I think the one aspect that goes unnoticed in all these stories, not just ours, but everything you see in Hollywood and the books you read, are just all the all the research that everybody has to do, so it makes sense for the reader.
I love that. I love that you're doing the research because it does add to the story and enhances it all.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Nothing's worse than, I remember watching Stranger Things with our sons, and my wife and I are laughing because they're driving down the bike, 1980s, that's right in our realm. And they had these garbage cans, the plastic square garbage cans. Well, those didn't come out till 15 years later. We had those steel cans that were all rusty, with maggots in them. And it was funny to see something that just took you out of, it just took you out of the moment. So we
Yes.
realized it was, it kind of separated that wall of illusion. And we tried our best to, keep everything tight, that everything made sense.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you made any of these into movies yet?
No, we've done little short clips, just to promote them, pitch decks, that's what we're trying to do. And it's hard because the dynamic of Hollywood right now, and you can see what they're doing, is that there's so many streaming services,
Yeah.
and everyone's diluted, and everybody is trying to do it economically, where you see all the remakes. That's why they're making all the remakes. The IP's there. They don't have to worry about whether it sells. They know the tracking on these back products.
Yeah.
So you can see what they're doing is that they're regurgitating all this new or the old stuff. And that's where I think Fenom Comics and independent publishers like Fenom Comics are really going to do well, because I think there is really, I can speak for me personally, is that everyone's looking for something new.
Yeah.
Everyone's not looking for the 8th Spider-Man. Okay. I've gone through the 20 Spider-Man versions. We get the origin story. So I think everybody out there are looking for new superheroes, or somebody to make them think.
Wow. All right. So what I want to know is like, what advice would you give to somebody else who has a creative dream as you did to build this galactic empire?
I guess I would look at the industry. It's sort of the egg before the chicken. Is, do you model your story after what the industry is looking for, or do you spend a couple of years and you hope that the industry is interested in your dancing movie or something, because everything's cyclic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say to everybody is, if it is released and you're there, and if it's not what everyone's looking for at that moment, everyone's looking for a scary movie, or someone's looking for a comedy, everyone's looking for something, everything's cyclic. So it will come around.
It'll
So
come around.
my advice is, do what's in you, make the best movie for you, make the best story for you, and then let it shake out. Because we've fallen under the trap personally, is you see a good story, you see, like, let's say Stranger Things. Oh, we got to come up with something like Stranger Things. Got to come up something, or up with something like Harry Potter. You just got to create your story and let the chips fall where they may,
Yeah.
and don't doubt yourself, because there is a lot of, you just can't make every story out there.
Yeah.
Pick
Okay.
one, go for it.
Pick the one and go for it. All right. So what are you working on right now?
Well, currently we had some printing issues, so I'm actually flustered right now. We had some printing issues with Star Writers. So to be transparent, that's what I'm really working on today. But story wise, we are going to go full head of steam, either in Something Fierce, which is about 80% done, or Vambrace, which is a great story that we picked up from Mel Ruby, who is an artist of ours, that Joe and I are now helping him write, and we're kind of putting our 2 cents into. So it's either Something Fierce, probably 90%, that's the one. But then Vambrace is going to be a very close number 2.
Okay. And where's your next event? Where are you going to be sharing this information and selling?
Well, we have to work on those books, because we were supposed to be at several in Chicago. We had Indiana, and actually out in DC, and we had to cancel those just because of the book scenario. We wanted to go out with both books. So once the book situation is resolved, we're going to then release our convention schedule. But right now, I hate to even put it out there because I did do that a little bit ago, and it just didn't work out. It was unfair. So
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Tell us where our audience can find out more about what you do and how to buy your books.
well, check out Fenom Comics. I guess you can phenomcomics.com. And if you look in there, you can always purchase Hunter Ninja Bear paperback, and you can pre-order the Star Riders. And they're phenomenal books. We're electronically, you can purchase them on Amazon and Apple Books, and if you have any questions, just the Phenom comics.com has all your answers. But it's a great book. 100 Ninja Bear, you're talking 360 pages for $29.99. That's 12 complete issues with 12 covers, 12 everything. Great story. And then Something Fierce, you got 8 issues where you've got artists like Lee Duhigg, you've got Scott McDaniel, you got Alex Sinclair, you got Tony Bedard, and Tyler Esposito, and they're coming in at 280 pages for like $24.99.
Wow.
So they're reasonably priced. They're great stories. They're epic adventures, and we literally have never had one bad review.
That's
And
very cool.
I don't want to jinx myself, but so far so good.
That's so cool. So cool. Before we get going for the day, is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
No, I guess I would just like to say thank you to you and for just everybody, just no matter what industry you're trying to break in or what kind of product you're trying to create, whatever hurdle it takes this to take it to where you want to go.
Thanks for being on the Stay on Course podcast. And I'm so excited to go out and buy my comic books.